Hello, my beautifuls. It's Helia FIrefly. It's essentially Twisted, our bi-weekly podcast, which is the brainchild of Twisted Elegance, which is an educational group for BIPOC in the BDSM community. And we are here tonight talking about leadership and responsibility in the community. And of course, we've got Miss Lacey here tonight. Miss Lacey.
Hi, peoples.
Lady Sapphire was not able to be with us tonight. So we do have a special guest with us here tonight, Sir Dire Wolf, and I'm going to allow him to introduce himself.
Good evening, everybody. Sir Dire Wolf. 61, just moved to Charlotte from New Jersey. I've been in the lifestyle over 20 years. Currently, I don't have a submissive or charge under me, and that's my choice. Wanted to get myself settled here and together before I got back in the forefront of BDSM. Right now, I'm good. Looking to jump in with both feet and get back into my lifestyle. Like I said, I've been doing this over 20 years, so I've just about seen it all, done most of it. So any questions you have, feel free to ask.
See, when you open that door, you make us turn this into a whole question and answer session.
I was thinking the same thing.
I know, right? We have a topic. Okay, we got you. We're gonna do this topic, but we got you at the end. Watch. See, because you done opened up a whole can of worms. Since you're new here in North Carolina and new to the area, you can dig in a little bit. Okay. All right. So again, we're doing leadership and responsibility in the BDSM community. I actually had somebody ask me, because, we're always saying, the community, our tribe or whatnot. And someone asked me like, well, what is the community? What are you talking about? That's where I actually got the question, part of the question from when I was going through topics. So I guess the first thing we really want to kind of just explain, which is really simple, is what is the community?
What is the community?
Yeah.
Me, myself, the community is like-minded people who all naturally come together, get along. We all know why we're at events and at meetings or whatever the case may be. And it's just keeping it family-based. Because a lot of times you go to a BDSM event and you get cliques or people that just like to acknowledge one another and be in each other's space, but I feel in able to be totally comfortable, we have to be a community. I've seen events where people just stand there and do nothing, say nothing, and it's totally boring. And it's why people are asking, why did I come here if I was going to come here for this? And it shouldn't be that way.
Anything you want to add, Lacey?
No, I'm pretty much of the same opinion. For me, the community is somewhere where more of a gathering of people or people you feel most comfortable around and have things in common with, like everything that we pretty much like in this lifestyle. We may not all have the same kinks, but we all, share the love of kink.
Okay. So, to me, on the broader spectrum, the community itself is everyone per se involved in BDSM as a whole. I think what you guys were talking about is kind of more like where I was leading to, because the next question was, do you think that it's important, or do you feel it's important to be a part of the community or not? Because, some people, they're part of the community. They do the public dungeons. They do the public play sessions. They do those things. They're active in that. Then you have other people those are people that maybe run in a house, or they just do their own thing within their own, group of people or whatnot. So as a whole, do you feel that it's important to be a part of the public community, or no?
I mean, well, 9 times out of 10, when you have people who aren't part of the community, that's because people don't agree with how they handle their dynamic, or if they're poly, they don't believe in poly. But a lot of it is just that they don't understand. And people of the community don't understand how they handle their dynamic. And they feel shunned from people, and people have made judgment about what they do and how they handle themselves.
Okay, Lacey.
Well, I figure it is important to be involved publicly, even if it is a bit more intimidating, because most of the time you do need to make those connections.
So, in my opinion, in teaching over at least umpteen million years I've been around, I can speak from the submissive side. I think the community becomes an important part when you are new as a submissive, or if you are unowned, especially if you're new, because a lot of times when you're newer, you're learning. So, of course, in learning and people knowing that you're new, and again, I was talking from the submissive side, and I'm not saying it, not all dominants are bad and yada yada, but you do have those that take being new and they know that you don't know. So they want to pull you into that more discreet side of it. But to me, being newer or being unowned, being a part of the community gives you that protection. It gives you that second look as a new person. It gives you somebody that's a second look at what's going on. It gives you people that you can collaborate with. Even if you are dealing with a specific dominant, that gives you somebody you can collaborate with and say, well, I might not know about such and such, but this is what he's taught me or what he said. And maybe you've seen it a different way. Because like we always say, everything's not cookie cutter, but not knowing, I don't think it's second guessing your dominant. I think it's more so kind of reassurance. Because like I said, coming in new, you don't have a dominant. So if you got people, I'll take you under my wing and I'll show you this and that and the third, you don't have another reference point. So being in the community, that gives you another reference point. That gives you dynamics to look at, that you can see how they function and how they work. It's a way to, again, see how to safely navigate the community. What we do when you go and have scenes, you can watch other scenes, so you know what safety points to look out for. That's mostly the pros for me. Honestly, me myself, I have a big longing to be like a part of a big community thing. I say twisted, that's my tribe. Little, you've got a bond and you're cool. Everybody knows where everybody's coming from. Everybody might not have the same, opinions about certain things. We've got leathers and we've got those of us who aren't. So you've got different people from different walks. So you've got a good basis of opinions. As a whole, just simply, the community is just a collection of who we are. A collection of people that basically believe or operate BDSM. So then we'll get to the leadership, because that's where it all starts. Y'all want to start on the leadership side or the responsibility side?
First shot.
Let's go with leadership then first. What is effective leadership in the community? Is it just for dominance? Is it just for, just anybody? Are leaders appointed? Are they self-made? What do you feel?
Well, for me, you have to be trusted
Mm-hmm.
to be a leader. Therefore, you have to prove yourself worthy of that moniker of a leader. Dominant who has a submissive has proven him or herself to their S type, because if not, they wouldn't be in a position that they're in, being under them. As far as the community is concerned, being a leader is in your work. If you come into a community and you show you can be trustworthy, show you are willing to put in that work, willing to fall into a position where you are helping and active and not just in the back. Because a lot of people like to get into a group or community and sit back and watch everybody.
Right. Yeah.
Don't sit back and watch everybody and not sit in. Because you're just taking up space at that point.
Sure. Leadership to me, community-wise, I think it could be either way. Sometimes I kind of trip myself up because I do feel at times within the community in certain things, it should be dominant-led. I think a lot of people in the community look to a lot of things that way when it comes to like your groups and things like that. And sometimes I find myself kind of backing off of certain things because we're twisted. As a submissive, I think it's that fine line between being the leader of something, but at the same time, you have dominance. You know what I mean? So it's like, it's kind of like a fine line. I've heard people say, "Oh, well, no, that's why dominance should be leaders of the groups, and that's why dominance should be this." But a lot of times, you find that dominance, they don't. And this is something that I deal with. You have dominance that, for lack of better words, they mesh, but they don't mesh. You get what I'm saying? So it's like, I don't want to overstep this gentleman. I don't want to overstep that person. Or, I'm just going to sit here. I'm going to sit back. I'm going to watch. I'll step in maybe here and there. Or you might find like one or two. And it's like, okay, jump in, say something, do something. And then I kind of feel out of place when I'm pushing, like, what are y'all doing? So I guess in the whole of what I do, and in certain areas, I think dominants are supposed to be the leaders, because as a submissive, there's just certain things that I don't step into as a submissive when it comes to a dominant.
No, I agree with that because I stay far away from that, because it's like you never know where that fine line can lead you into doing something that you crossing a boundary that you don't need to cross as a submissive.
Right. And
let me ask you a question. Something happens in your D type, becomes incapacitated. You're going to have to step up and take a point of leadership.
Right. But I think in that case is different. It's different because you're still a part of a dynamic. You know what I'm saying? So even though he's incapacitated, he's still there. And you're still functioning under him. As an unowned submissive, it's kind of a different story, because it's just like you're walking this line solo. So it's like, okay, what's your authority to say anything to me? Because you don't have that dominant that says, okay, this is mine. She's doing what I told her to do. When you talk about leaderships in the community, a lot of times we pop up because we see something that's lacking. A lot of times when you have people that start groups like here, because the area is so small, you don't have a lot of people of color that are doing lunches and things like that. So someone takes the initiative, whether it's a dominant or a submissive, and they start a group and they work towards building, a community. It's kind of easier in your bigger cities because, there's so many people that you can relate to, or there's so many groups that you can join. But like here, it's not. So as much as I think that a lot of times leaders should be dominants, I think there's a lot of times when submissives we do what we do, but where's the line? Is that okay? is it overstepping when it comes to dealing with other dominants and things like that? Because like Lacey and I were saying, there's that fine line. So what do you do?
Well, first and foremost, and with you being an unowned submissive, it's on another plane. If you, as a submissive, if you have a dominant, you always refer back to your dominant.
Absolutely.
But like I said, in your case, it's on a different plane. But let me just say this, and this is a very blurred line, but a submissive takes the leadership role when she selects a dominant.
Okay.
Well, because people are up under the misconception that the dominant chooses the submissive. And I'm old school, and that's not the way that's not the way my mentor taught me that it went. The submissive chooses the dominant. So she's somewhat taking a leadership position in selecting her dominant and letting him know that she wants to be up under him. Even though one of his attributes may be his leadership qualities that she sees and she likes. But if she doesn't take the lead and step up and let that dominant know that she's wanting to be up under him, he's just going to be standing over there in the corner with a wish.
I kind of think it's a two-way street, though. They both have to choose each other because, you will find, getting to know me, I'm the biggest advocate for dominance because I feel that dominants are so underrated when it comes to aftercare and being taken care of, and dominance, because people feel like dominants have to sing if you want one. Dominants have to do this and that. As much as I feel that, yeah, submissives have a lot to do with the process of going into a dynamic, I really think it's a two-way street, though, because just because I want you as my dominant doesn't mean that you accept me as your submissive.
This is true. But see, you have to have some type of relationship and bond going into that point of trying to establish a dynamic. So if you don't have somewhat of a bond going into that point, you're subject to get turned down like that. You have to know something about each other. You have to like something about each other. There has to be an attraction there. Not just going into anything blind.
Okay, understood. Anything you want to add, Lacey?
No, I'm pretty much at the same mind as you. I was taught that it's a mutual thing, that you mutually choose each other coming into this. Like a submissive and a dominant choose each other. There's no, a submissive choosing their dominant and they don't really get a choice. Because that'd be kind of weird, Because it's like I feel like it's a whole consent clash, honestly.
Well, I think more of what it means is more so, because like I said, I was taught pretty much the same way. But we start to grow and start to get big, and let me think about this another way. And it just, to me, it grew to me. Whereas, yeah, it's more of a two-way street kind of thing. But I think the underlying thing there isn't per se say, okay, I want you, you're going to be my dominant. That's the end of it. That's not what he means. It's more so, okay, there's an interest there. You propose that interest, because honestly, I'm going to tell you something. I don't even know if I even told you when I first started out with you. But when I came in, if you actually had a dominant that you were interested in, you sat down and wrote a whole letter of proposal.
Exactly.
I see you shaking your head. See, you wrote a
Exactly.
whole letter of proposal. It was presented to that dominant. He then decided whether or not he was going to even accept talking to you about any of this. And it went from there. So that's what he really means when he's saying the submissive really takes the initiative.
And it was, to me, it's like going back to the caveman days. He grabs a woman by the head, clubs her over the head, oh, you're mine.
Mm-hmm.
I know. You have no bond, you don't know anything about this woman, but you just see this woman on the fly. You think she's attractive. You know she's in the lifestyle. We're better than that.
And then it kind of takes away from the ebb and flow of what this really is, because
the intensity of it all.
The intensity that song, not really a song and dance, but that bond kind of thing that you build. A lot of people miss that part now. It's what I always say. Everybody wants this. They see a dynamic. We want that, but we don't want to do the work to get there, or we don't take the time to understand how to get there. And a lot of times, from back when, like I said, when I came in the 90s, I mean, it was a process, but that process was there for you to actually build, it was different with me because I was already with him. So we came in together. So it was a little bit different. But again, when I was referring back to community, and when you're in this public eye, you can see the different dynamics and how they work within our house. They taught us, even though we were together, there were still the formalities that you had to go through. I don't care how long we knew each other. So I think all of that was in place to build that closeness, because this is I tell people all the time, as volatile as this is, a dynamic is the most intimate, basically. What else is there? You're entrusting everything to this person. So you have to have a certain amount of trust, way beyond. To me, sometimes I feel it's beyond just normal everyday boyfriend-girlfriend relationships. That trust that you have, because you're doing things, you're putting your life in this person's hands.
Exactly.
So, I think the way that we were taught to come in was a way to build that bond and build that trust where it's, excuse my French, but damn near unbreakable, because, hey, I'm getting ready to give everything to you. So, like I said, it's not that he was saying, you have to, you just pick who you want. Nah, it was a whole formality. And
the thing about it is, when you, as a submissive, when you take that step in writing that letter and presenting it, you get to see right away the traits that may make him a leader. And then if you go through that stage and he's accepting your letter, you got that community that you can fall back on when a vetting process starts. What do you know about him? What kind of guy is he? What do you know about her? What kind of woman is she? Is she faithful, submissive? Is he a dependable, dominant? You got that community to fall back on and ask those questions. Because 9 times out of 10, there's going to be 2 or 3 people that knows him, that knows her. That's where your community comes in at that point.
Right. And that was another thing I was thinking, that I literally had jotted that down, the importance of community, because we've talked about it before, where you've had people that's been in, like us, 20-some years. And if you're like me, I've been in quite a few places. So you don't have, a specific person, or years have gone by. Like, the people that I came in under now are in like their 90s. Well, Papa's passed, but Mama, she's in her 90s.
Dang.
So when you have people that have been in for a certain amount of time, and you want to go and vet them, and they be like, well, such and such and such. People be like, no, I don't know. I don't know. How can I get in contact? Well, they're not even here anymore. So then you run into there is no one to even vouch for you. So that, again, to me is where, like you said, community comes in, because no matter if you've been around anybody in the public community setting any amount of time, a month, 3 or 4 months, a year, that pretty much, if you've been around, can say, okay, well, in the amount of time that I've known them, such and such has been this type of person, or whatever. The importance of at least being noticeable. If you're not always a part of that public face, at least at times, do a lunch, go to an event every now and then, so you can interact with people. So then you do, if you need to be better, you've got somebody that can say, I know of this person. Because again, we've got like several here, and we've all said it, like, okay, so what happens when you get to the point where you want to vet somebody, but they're no longer here, who they reference or who they were mentored by. So effective leaders in community or in dynamics, they have that everybody's best interest at heart. I'd say they're a good organizer, educated enough to answer questions correctly, because I've run into that. I'm listening to people that's running groups, and I hear answers, or I'm reading questions, and it's like, what was that answer? And stop there. Do you feel that it would be your place to speak on something in that nature if it was misinformation?
Yes, because in this lifestyle, misinformation can get somebody hurt.
Right.
I mean, I wouldn't correct them right there in front of everybody, pull them to the side, and let them know, look, you gave a wrong point of information.
Mm-hmm.
See, because that's, people get in this lifestyle and they get lazy about doing their research and their homework. That's a leadership point. That's a responsibility. Do your research. If there's something you don't understand, ask somebody. And then do your research. We get so complacent in this lifestyle to that we're doing something that we enjoy. But when it comes to learning something else, we sit back and watch somebody else do it and think we can do it rather than doing your research in your home.
Right.
And see, I keep a reference point to anything I want to know. I go online, start research, and it's helped me out and brought me so far in my journey in the lifestyle. You can't go without doing research and learning, not just watching somebody else do it and think you can do it. You got somebody's life in your hands and in front of you. Come on now.
Absolutely. That's one of my philosophies with Twisted. One thing that draws me to love this is that I don't care how long you've been in this, you're always going to learn something. And when I start pulling topics and things, and I mean, it's things that I know that I've been taught, things that I know about. But when you go back and start, okay, well, let me get some points. You start finding stuff that you didn't know.
Mm-hmm.
So I always tell people there's never going to be a time in this when you should not be open to learning. The whole point of why do we call this a journey? Because you evolve, because you're always going to learn. When we first started with the podcast, and I think it was like our first podcast we did, Lacey, when we were talking about, you'll start out one spot, you can turn around and look at yourself in a year, and you'll find that you may have lost archetypes, or you might have gained some. They try to tell me I'm a brat. And in 28 years, no, I'm not. But, when you look back, like, well, okay, they try to say I got tendencies, but I don't think up until maybe about 5, 6 years ago that I even was open to that I was a Sam. And a lot of people don't even acknowledge Sam. So I'm like,
At least she acknowledged that, y'all.
I am a Sam. Oh, I'll tell anybody. Everybody knows that. I'm the queen of Sam. I think I done turned other people on to what a Sam is, and they become Sams. I mean, it is what it is. But, there's a difference. People say Sam's a brat. No, we're not. I'm not a brat. I did admit to what, like 85% brat, though? I did.
Yes. Yes, you did.
Yeah. I just don't have the temper tantrums. But, again, don't start laughing. Don't do it. But,
No, I'm a brat.
That's
I'll admit that.
you are 120% brat. But that's just the thing with this. You learn, you gain things, you lose things, but we evolve, and that's the journey that we're on. You are always going to learn something if you're open to it. There's always,
and even if you're not, you're gonna.
Yeah, basically, because you're going to mess up, and somebody just going to tell you, look, let me explain to you where you went wrong with this. You might not accept it, but the information is going to be there because somebody's going to tell you. That's if you have somebody or people around you that care enough to try to help you correct it. Because again, I'm just going, like I said, I'm going to get a shirt that I'm going to wear every time we podcast that says volatile, because that's like my favorite word when it comes to this. This lifestyle is so volatile. There's so many things that can happen. So many ways people can get hurt, not just physically, but mentally, everything. So, you always got to be open, not like Sir Darwin was saying, not looking at something on Facebook and saying, oh, I can tie. Now, granted, I learned my first ties on through a YouTuber, but it was because one of the riggers, the actual rigger that was his wife, that was at the exposed event in November, she told me about a YouTube channel that taught how to tie. But she's teaching you and instructing you the right way to do it. I'm not just sitting out here tying people, because there's so many, just with the rope, there's so many things that can go wrong. You can damage a person. When I started with fire play, when Sir Shear taught me fire play, he didn't let me just go out here and put fire on people. I had to learn step by step before he would even let me even practice on anybody or even light anything. It's a learning process, and we jump into stuff and we're not learning. Even going into dynamics, it's a learning process. So all this is, you're always going to learn. You always got to be open to learn. And more than anything, as I always say, you got to know about yourself. That's the first thing with this. Before you talk about dynamics, finding a dominant, finding a submissive, learning this or that, the first thing, the most important thing in this is learning yourself. Why you're here. What are you looking to get out of this? The one place we go wrong, because then when we start digging into this and we start digging into the mental side of this, we start having problems because we don't understand why we like some of the kinky stuff we like. Or is that okay? But we didn't take the time to learn that about ourselves in the beginning. So yeah, we're always learning. You were talking about responsibility. Where does the responsibility lie? That's where Prick came in. It was always SSC, then Rat comes, and then Prick came along because we wanted to take a little bit further with personal responsibility, because everybody felt like it was somebody else's responsibility. So it's that dominance responsibility. So it is his fault if something happens. Or scene goes wrong. Like I said, that wasn't my fault. He knew more than I did. So it was his fault. So it went further than just telling somebody, okay, these are the things that can go wrong. We go to Prick, where this becomes a personal responsibility. I take responsibility for what happens, good or bad. So I think that as a whole becomes a whole thing for the community itself. Responsibility about everything. I think there's a personal side. Then I think, as far as leadership goes, I think leaderships have certain responsibilities. The responsibility lies as a leader in your dynamic. That lies within that dominant. And I take that back. That goes both ways too. I was always taught, yeah, the dominant, he's the one in charge, but I think that goes both ways too, because as a submissive, you have to be responsible for certain things concerning yourself. I hear submissives all the time say, well, he's supposed to be concerned about my well-being. He's supposed to make sure I do this and do that. I think we have responsibility to ourselves as well for our well-being. You can tell me all day long, eat at 8 o'clock, 12 o'clock, 7 o'clock. But if I don't do it, not being disobedient, but I always felt like, why should my dominant have to tell me things like that are for my good? I think there's some things that we throw on, again, in my defense of dominance. I think there's some things that we throw on dominance and think that he or she should be responsible for, and they really shouldn't be. If I know that within this dynamic, I need to be physically healthy, I need to be mentally well, I think that's that submissive's responsibility to make sure those things are done. Why should my dominant have to do that? Yeah. But I don't know. So where does the community responsibility fall? Per se, you have violators. Who's responsible for handling situations like that? Who's responsible for overseeing that, all goes well within the community?
If you are in a community, and this is just my outlook on this, if you are in a community of people that you really have been around and trust, and a violation comes up, you should have a group of senior dominants and senior submissives. If there's a violation that comes up, you should be able to go to any of them, let them know what's going on or what happened, and they come together and pull the both of you in the room and find out what happened and what the violation's about. And then they should be educated on where they went wrong on either end.
Mm-hmm.
You just don't let it go, because if you let it go, it's bound to happen again. And another thing about that is, and I'm a real big advocate about this, we as dominants, some of us get to a point where it's all about ego. At some point in time, you got to let that ego go at the door. You're in a position of power. You're not in a position to abuse that power. You can have someone's life in your hands. So it can be a whole power game, but you got to let that ego go.
Absolutely. I think ego is a lot of why community is so segregated, because a lot of times you'll find that dominance, there's a lot that aren't open to sharing. And I don't mean sharing submissives or nothing like that. I mean like sharing education, sharing skills and things like that. A lot of times, we throw that word around, gatekeeping, all the time. But think that a lot of, I don't know whether it's this, well, I'm not going to teach anybody how to do such and such because I don't want them to be better than me. And that's one thing I don't understand, and I don't get that part, because what I've come to find out about learning skills from each other is that everybody's going to have their unique way to do it, So worrying about, just petty stuff. It's like worrying about somebody getting more attention than you. It's so weird. And I'm like, as a submissive, I try to stay in my place, but that's like one of my biggest pet peeves when it comes to, you'll find that you have more submissives that are apt to share and interact versus dominants that are apt to share information and education. And I think one of the biggest things with me was when when Sir Shear taught me fire. And first thing he said was one thing at a time. And I was like, what you mean one thing at a time? You know, he was like, I need you to focus on one thing at a time. Because what you're doing is you are playing with fire with other people. So I need you to get this under your belt first before you start focusing on something else. Okay. But I think the one thing that stood out in conversation when we were talking about just learning and doing, and he kept pushing practicing. He said, he was like, because I want you to be better than I am. And I'm like, okay. And you really don't hear a lot of dominant say things like that. And that's one thing that I push with even within Twist. And I'm like, okay, what is it going to take to get y'all to mesh? What is it going to take to get y'all to talk? What is it going to take to get y'all to share? One reason Twisted is here, because you don't have a lot of spaces for people of color in the community. And through experience, we always are looked at like we don't know. And as many people that are in the community that are of color, there are so many skills. There's so much knowledge that's here. There's so much that we can share. It's not being shared. And then at the forefront, you have us that come in and we're just going because we saw 50 Shades of Grey. Or we saw some crazy
Don't
movie
start
and
that,
we decided,
please.
huh?
Don't start that, please.
Oh no, we already had, look, we did a whole podcast and debunked that whole movie. It was crazy. Because I was
a
like,
fun night.
yeah, it was a really fun night, because I was like, if I hear one more person compare that movie to what this really is, I think I'm just going to close shop and say I'm over it. Because you have so many people that are just running into this and they're like, okay, this is what it is. So where's the responsibility of the people that have been schooled in this, that have the foundation in this? Where's the responsibility? Where does it lie? Who does it lie on to take these people by the hand and say, hey, let me kind of school you on the way it's supposed to be. Let me give you the foundations. Like, what is Twisted? We're simply foundation. You take that foundation, like I always say, we can take a foundation, you can build whatever you want on that foundation, but that foundation is still going to be there, it's still going to be solid. You build what you want to from the foundation of this. So when you see all these people that are miseducated, they're online looking at the wrong stuff, they're reading the wrong stuff, they're hearing the wrong stuff, where does the responsibility, or who does the responsibility fall on to try to correct that, to kind of reel them in and say, let's get the foundation down and redirect that so you're going in the right way. You're not putting yourself or somebody else in danger.
It falls on the community. Those that know. If nobody that knows better stands up and speak up, it's just going to be a fight. No matter how wrong that cycle is, it's going to continue.
True. So then what does it take to get people to speak up and take that responsibility?
You go at the door when they're corrected. I mean, me, myself, I'm not just going to come to you and tell you was wrong about something.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to come to you with a reference point that you can go to.
Right.
I'm not just going to let it seem like, oh, he's just hating and he's just mad because he doesn't know anything about it. I'm coming to you with a reference point where you can tangibly type it on your keyboard and read it for yourself. And that's the way it is, because that whole 50 Shades of Grey, I was telling somebody about it. How can someone write a book about something they have no knowledge of? She learned from her friends who was in the lifestyle. She had no firsthand knowledge of what was going on in the BDSM lifestyle. That's a glorified love story.
Well, honey, if those friends was in the lifestyle, there was some short consent violating. Now, as I said when we did the little thing about it, I liked it because of the love story. I think the intentions were good. I really think that it was meant to be kind of the love story with the splash of BDSM, but the BDSM aspect is completely wrong. I like the fact that it was a cute love story. She took a dominant, softened him, a supposed dominant, softened him up, and he introduced her to a different lifestyle that she wound up enjoying. It's kind of it was cute, but the BDSM side of garbage.
It was.
Yeah, she Lacey totally hates it, and I mean I hate the represent.
Thank you,
I don't
Lacey.
say I hate. I just like the representation of BDSM in it. The
If
books were cute.
you want the representation of BDSM lifestyle, get the Sleeping Beauty trilogies by Anne Rice.
The dark ones, I heard they were.
Yeah.
Yeah, we gotta find those.
Get the trilogy from Anne Rice on the Sleeping Beauty trilogy.
There was a couple more too. There was a Snow White one.
That's going on the list.
I was getting ready to say, I'm surprised you don't have them because I think we talked about them before. I want to say we talked about them and we saw them.
Story of O.
I think we did. I really think we did, but it's going on the list.
Mm-hmm.
Story of O.
Okay, so
oh my God,
she. This is where you have to come back because we were talking about like doing a like every couple weeks taking a movie like we did 50 Shades of Grey and debunking it. So the next one that she wanted to do was actually the Story of O because she hates that movie. To me, the Story of O was like a big orgy movie. I don't care. I ain't like it, but
it was.
Thank you. Lacey.
I mean,
go ahead and talk about
the
that movie.
The movie was wild. The movie was just traumatizing, and then the book was even worse. I was just like, there were no boundaries. It was just a free for all of just madness.
Cannot with you tonight because you get her talking about that, and her and the Story of O are not. I think we were trying to wait for Lady Sapphire to find it and watch it. But yeah, so we were supposed to have this whole conversation about that movie. And then what was the other one? They have a new one on Tubi called Safe Word.
Like
it's an all black cast.
I don't trust Tubi. I'm sorry.
No,
I don't trust Tubi.
Tubi. I'm sorry.
And I had no idea.
Actor.
And my cousin told me about it. She was like, I need you to download Tubi. I'm like, Tubi? And she was like, yeah. I need you to download Tubi. She's like, because I know what you into. She said, but I need you to watch this garbage. She said, please tell me that this is not what you're into. And I'm like, hey. So I watched this. Why? The movie is called Safe Word. But why does the man wind up trying to kill the woman? Because
it's Tubi. Because it's Tubi. Everybody ends up getting murdered in some way, in some form or fashion in a Tubi movie. And because it's Tubi.
I cannot stomach Tubi.
After this movie, I cannot stomach Tubi either. It was worse than 50 Shades of Grey, y'all. I'm like,
that bad?
It is horrible because it presents BDSM like it's people. This dude meets this girl and he introduces her to, a matter of fact, no, it was not my cousin. Yes, it was because I asked her about it. But I actually saw it. It was spoken about again because a gentleman mentioned it in a lifestyle group. And he said, oh, I liked it because of the way he introduced her to the lifestyle. Now, it was kind of cute because he did like just take her to a party, which I'm totally against. So don't nobody take the caveat. I'm totally against just taking somebody vanilla to a BDSM party and throwing them in there and expecting them to be okay. No. But he took her to this party, kind of introduced her to, he took her in a dungeon room with him and tied her up and all this stuff, introduced her to the lifestyle, and he wound up being a psycho, a total psycho.
This movie's already wild. He's just throwing her in the deep end already?
Yeah. So he wound up being a total psycho. Then he tries to kill her. She winds up flipping on him. It is crazy. So it makes you think that people have problems that deal with BDSM. I'm like, no, that's not it. And my cousin was like, so are you okay? Like, I'm fine. She was like, I'm just making sure. She was like, because I'm trying to understand this movie. I'm like, that is not, trust me, that is not what this is. So when we say there's volumes of stuff out there, there's volumes of stuff out. It doesn't.
I'm just going to put out there, the story of O was the very first thing I watched, like, coming into this lifestyle. That was the very first film I ever saw. Yeah. I will never forget that in my life.
You guys.
Ever.
I
know she was traumatized if that's the first thing she...
But you know what? I will honestly, when I came in, back in the 90s, early 2000s, a lot of people, that was what they were showing people when they were bringing them in. And I'm like, why are you showing that orgy movie? That's awful. Because if that's what this is, I don't want that. If you know.
And you know
it's in French.
Yeah.
I was introduced by my mentor. He came in, when I was driving buses, charter buses. I was laid over in Philly. And my mentor came and picked me up, and he brought me over to his submissive's house. He actually had a session, and I was invited into the session. And after that session, I was hooked. I didn't start participating in anything. I did homework, research, reading, the whole nine, and then my feet wet. And that's how I was
introduced by a freaking Marina that just came back from Amsterdam and had discovered something wonderful. I'm like, what was that? Let me show you. Okay. And me and my curious self was, cool, let's try it. Little did I know. But yeah. So we got folks talking about doggone movies. That's funny. But yeah, as much as information that's out there online and around, there's good and there's bad. You just have to, like Sir Dara was saying, if there is a question, if there's something that you're not sure, because you're going to read a lot of stuff, you're going to find a lot of stuff, you're going to see a lot of stuff. And if it's something that you're not sure about, ask somebody that's dependable, that you know can give you a quality answer, but at the same time can give you somewhere to go to look. Just one thing my dad always said when he preached, he said, if I can't show it to you, you better not believe it. And I've lived through that my whole entire life. I don't want to be able to tell you something and not have proof of what I say. Don't take what I give you here. Don't take what I might post. None of that. Don't take that for, okay, well, she said it, so that's what it is. No. If I'm posting it and I can't reference it for you, or if I can't give you a reference when I'm talking about it, then you'd be like,
do you have a piece of paper with you? I see you have the pen.
I do. I have my notebook.
I'm going to share with you my reference. www.the-iron-gate. Now,
say it again.
www-the-iron-gate. No, I'm sorry. www.the-iron-gate.com. There's a search engine in there for anything you want to know. It'll give you all kinds of information, and it will also give you other references to where you can go find more information or books or whatever the case may be. That's my
Wonderful. All right. So, I mean, basically, we've run through what is the community. We talked about the community, what it is, talked about leadership and where responsibility lies, who. So, quick question. So, what if you're unknown? You're not a part of a house? Because now, I know Lacey had a question because we were gonna do a podcast. So talking about leaders and the community, where do mentors and protectors come in when it comes to leadership and community?
both very important. It's just finding someone knowledgeable and someone you trust to mentor. Not everybody's meant to be a mentor because a lot of people don't have the patience for it. To be a mentor, you have to have patience.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I had two coming into BDSM, and they were two of my very good friends, and we've been friends for over 20 years, and all three of us have been in the lifestyle, but just about that long. And we still kick back to each other every now and then, find out what's going on, anything we need to know, anything we're curious about. Have you done this? Have you done that? But it's hard to find people that are willing to mentor.
Mm-hmm.
People are going into lifestyles, not just BDSM, but swing, and they don't know the first thing about what they're doing.
No, I've heard.
Next thing you know, you're being put on a back burner or on the way out, and people won't deal with you because you've not been mentored into how to properly conduct yourself.
Sure. So
And
I've heard.
the thing that I hate that's going on now, well, I'm not in the swing lifestyle anymore, but they're having dungeons and swing parties. That is the biggest no for me. That's blurring lines. Big.
Anybody that knows me, I am totally against mixing BDSM and swinging and everything else. I am an advocate of traditional BDSM. I am an advocate that BDSM is not about sex.
Exactly.
In a dynamic, of course, sex is a dynamic is like a regular relationship. So of course, sex is something that you do. But just in top and bottom scening and things like that, you would not understand or believe how many submissives that I've come across that has had so many negative things to say about dominance. Oh, well, he's not this, he's not. And this is another big pet peeve that I have because you'll have these submissives saying he's not dominated, and a lot of times we don't take the time to dig into what they're talking about. Oh, she said he did this, so he's just wrong. But then when you sit down and you start kind of digging into it, you find out she mad at him because she didn't get what she wanted out of the session. And then when you really start digging into that, you start finding out, oh, well, we didn't have sex afterwards. Were you supposed to? Are you his submissive? Are y'all in a dynamic? Did you even negotiate? Was that something y'all negotiated? I mean, if you negotiate, we all grown. We all know that things that we do are intimate, and he might make you feel woo woo, or she might make you feel woo woo, and you want to go. But if it's not negotiated, if that top is not even focused on that, he's focused or she's focused on doing what this is, topping, who says you're supposed to have sex? And I've had submissives actually go around talking about dominance, bad mouthing dominance, having people in the community like really think that these dominants are bad people or they're violating because they didn't get something that they wanted, or they see a dynamic, or they see that dominant in a dynamic, and because that dominant sings with other individuals, they think they're supposed to get what they see in a dynamic. That bond isn't there. And I'm like, so, and this is something that I just really started realizing maybe within the last maybe year or so, with doing Twisted and talking to more submissives and listening to that stories. And I'm like, okay, well, I'm sorry you had a bad experience, but what led to that? And then when you start listening and finding out that, guess what? We haven't been taught the boundaries here. We haven't been taught or educated on what this is. There's scening, topping and bottoming, and then there's being in a dynamic. A lot of people don't know the difference. So I don't know. There is so much that comes along with this, and I've come across it's not like that anymore. That's old school, and old school is what matters though, because this stuff I'm speechless when it comes to stuff like this. But that whole hosting a party and you got a dungeon over here, and that's why I don't like swinger clubs, because if you notice, a lot of the bigger swinger clubs, they have that. They'll have the swinger section and they'll have like a dominant, and to each their own, because I know dominants that go to swinger parties and sing, to each their own. But I just don't feel that the two should be mixed, because then you're sending mixed signals to me.
The lines are being blurred because I can't tell you, I know 3 dominants that have done a dungeon at a swing party with someone that was just curious about what goes on in the BDSM lifestyle.
Mm-hmm.
Law, this particular person, they've had a good time at that point in time that they were getting flogged. But the next morning they had bruises and trophies. Next thing you know, they're going to the police. And the police is going to that dominant's house, knocking on the door. You so-and-so, yeah, we got a warrant for your arrest. We got a warrant for your arrest for abuse.
Wow. Yeah.
Like that. You can't blur the line. One has nothing to do with the other.
Right.
But
Right.
see, they should have known, and it was their responsibility, but they took the chance on doing it. I'm not putting myself out there like that.
Understandable.
I know dominants that are doing it, and some pseudo doms, as I call them, that are doing it. I'm sorry, no. I don't look good in orange jumpsuits, and I don't want them to know how I look good in other thin stripes, so I'm good. Trust
me. Yeah. And I will honestly say I tried it one time. And luckily, it pulled off because I was totally able to keep everything separate. But when I did it, it was in a smaller arena. It was actually in a house. Smaller people that I knew, that knew about both. And that's how that went. But it was just, I have a really, really strong aversion to doing things like that, because again, what's my word? This is volatile. People do not understand that a lot of this, if in the wrong hands, it's illegal.
Mm-hmm.
And so I've had people tell me, well, I don't understand why you make people sign NDAs when they come to your stuff, because I need to make sure you're going to shut your mouth when you walk out these doors. Because what we do in here don't need to go no further than in here. Everybody in this building could be consenting to what's going on, but in the wrong hands because you want to go run your mouth about what goes on. Y'all did what? You out here name calling, well, I saw such and such do this, and I loved the way he was flogging, and she swelled up and this, that, and that, had all these big whips. I think they call them trophies, and this, that. No, that's abuse. She had bruises. That's abuse. Who did that? Next thing you know, like you said, somebody knocking on your door. We got a warrant for your arrest because you did such and such. Or you got people in parties taking pictures. Why do you take my phone? Because I don't need you in here taking pictures of nothing.
Everybody business ain't nobody business.
Thank you. And people don't understand that. I know a lot of people, there's people that do this for recreation, but then a lot of people, this is their lives, so,
this is not a recreation sport.
Right. It's who we are. Somebody asked me, well, are you 24/7 or is it just a sometimes thing for you? I don't get the 24/7 thing or sometime thing, because to me, if this is who you are, if you're truly a submissive, you're always going to be that because that's who you are. If you're a dominant, you're always going to be that because that's who you are. I understand people role play these positions. To me, that doesn't make them a dominant or a submissive. To me, that makes you a top and a bottom. And I know some people ain't gonna like that, but that's just my view. Because I think if this is something that you can play, then it's really not who you are. It's something that you enjoy at the time. But being 24/7, I think it's who you are 24/7. Now, do I participate 24/7? No, I'm not doing the scene every day. No, when I'm working, no, I'm not. I'm a submissive, but I am not submissive to my environment. I am totally alpha in my environment. So, does that say I turn it off and on? I think I could say I could turn it off and on, but it still doesn't change who I am. So to me, 24/7 isn't a thing because it's always who I am. I just don't display it all the time. And a lot of people don't realize that this is what some people do. This is who some people are. So to them, this is not fun and games. So when you start running around and snapping pictures or talking or doing this, that, third, you're putting yourself and somebody else's lifestyle in danger.
Not even just their their kink lifestyle, but like you said, there are professionals with serious careers in this lifestyle, doctors, lawyers, people like that.
Do we not know that?
Damage their lives. And it's a widespread thought for a lot of people think that, most people in the kink, the lifestyle have some kind of mental health problem.
Yeah.
And that we don't want to further that, because a lot of people, there are some people that do have trauma, but we don't want to further the stereotype that it's a outlet breeding ground for people with mental health problems.
Right. So what's the story from a couple of years ago? Remember, I did air flight. I did life flight for years. And so during that time, I used to host swinger parties at the same time. I really wasn't doing a lot of BDSM parties, but I was doing more lifestyle parties for swinger parties. People see advertised people come to parties. I kid you not. I go to, let's see, we land, I get off, take my helmet off, I get off the chopper, go with the stretcher, we go into the car, and I kid you not, EMT tells this story to this day. He looked, and I looked because my mouth hit the ground because a dude and his girlfriend and another dude were standing on the side because they had saw the accident had stopped. I kid you not, this dude says, "Hey, yo, you the chick that be holding the parties." I'm like, I ain't saying nothing. And because I didn't say anything, of course, it got a little, hey, so when your next swinger party? You ain't talking to me. You know I was at your party. Hey, you You running with that stretcher. You trying to ignore me. I'm like, oh my God.
Not singling you out like that.
My EMT said, because luckily he knew, so he was like, girl, just wave him off, say hi, something, so he'll shut up. And he was like, so you got people all out here just calling you out. And I'm like, you know what? People do not understand that there is a reason why we are so secretive. Because,
There is a time and a place.
you know, I had no words. If I could have melted into that asphalt out in the middle of the street, I would have, because I'm like,
That was
and
not the
then when
time
he
or the
started
place.
saying, you're running with the stretcher and you trying to avoid me, I was like, oh my God. Really?
Oh, I've got called out at the grocery store in the middle of the aisle.
Okay, grocery store.
Sir Diane Wolf.
Not
Really?
the title too.
Yeah. I'm like, really?
People just
That's what
don't
we doing?
care.
I'm like, that's what we doing? Well, I didn't know your real name, so you couldn't have just walked up to me and tapped me on my shoulder and was like,
Right.
how you
They
doing?
could have
You
just
remember me? We were at such and such an event, and I would have been fine. But you called me out clean down the damn aisle. I'm at one end of the aisle, you at the other end of the damn aisle. I'm like, really? That's what fuck.
they could have just did the country thing and just called you sir, because it's a normal thing in the South to call somebody sir or ma'am. They could have just said, hey sir.
They called out the whole damn name, Sir Diane Wolf. I'm like, wow.
This is why you are taught etiquette. When you come in, you are taught etiquette. So swinger parties, no, you're going to get the rules before you even come. Because now, if you can't abide by these rules right here, don't even step foot in. Because we're not having this, you calling out people. No. And look, before the event, we are going to do a cast on dungeon etiquette. Lacey already requested it. We are doing
It's necessary.
It is necessary. It is, because
You said to say that it is necessary. It's so necessary.
it is. And then people, I mean, but stuff is just common sense. People sit there and wonder
People
why
don't have it.
I feel like it should be common sense not to go around calling somebody else's dominant you're dominant, but I guess it's not.
Yeah.
We had that conversation too. This just turned out to be just talk about everything night. So we've had that conversation too. We talked about that. So, okay, we'll get another perspective on it really quick. So, in my learning, in my teaching, in my coming into this wonderful world, I was, let me do a preface here. So, the topic was honorifics. Let's start there. The topic was honorifics, and the question was, when do we use them? What was it, Lacey? When we use them and how do we use them? Something like that.
Yes, and who do we use them for?
Yes. So someone had made a statement and they were saying, they don't use them outside of their dynamic, only with their dominant, which is fine. My view was, how people say, okay, that's not my dominant, so I'm not using honorifics with him. And I don't know why people take that negatively. Like if you say, oh, that's not my dominant. No, that's not what I'm saying. If it's not my dominant, then no, I am not going to use honorifics with him unless I am instructed to. So I was taught within my dynamic that if I go into a dungeon, an event, whatever, just off of GP, I'm not going to walk up to anybody and use an honorific with them. I'm not going to do that. I will respectfully greet you. I'm not going to be rude or anything, but how are you, sir? No, within a dynamic, it was always the rule of, if my dominant knew that person, it was somebody we knew, okay, fine, absolutely. Sir Dyer, how are you? If it was somebody that I did not know, first thing I'm doing is looking at him. Yes, no. We had our signals. If it was okay, I knew his signal for yes. I could greet him as such or whatever. If it was no, then nope. That person got a respectful hello, how are you? It's nice to meet you. I'm Helia. Da, 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 da. So it was said that no, that's wrong. That until you know how a person wants to be addressed, you're supposed to address them as sir or ma'am. I have a problem with that simply because I've been in situations and I've seen situations where that's happened and dominants have actually gotten upset because you're not their submissive. You didn't have permission to call them sir. Or you did not.
My dominant had to earn that honorific from me. So why would I call you by that if you didn't, if I didn't do the work with you and I didn't build that with you? Plus, you can't really call somebody sir or ma'am without, with the way the gender thing is these days. You never know if a person is a sir or a ma'am.
Well, my thing is, I have standing rule with my submissive. If we're out at an event, you address nobody as sir and ma'am. If they have a problem with it, and then they say something to my submissive, you direct them over to me. I'll pull you aside and we'll have the conversation. If they can't accept that, that's on them. But she's doing exactly as I told her. You haven't earned that sense of entitlement with her. I'm the only one she calls sir, unless told otherwise. Point blank, period.
And that's the way I was taught, but
I'm too much of a brat for that because why are you calling my dominant this or that?
Have a whole issue.
I absolutely would.
It would be a cat fight beyond cat fights.
I absolutely would, because why are you calling my dominant this title or this honorific that you didn't earn? Like, what are you gaining from that?
I think where the misunderstanding there comes is that people fail to realize when you step into this realm, you're not in everyday life. Because the statement was made, well, you have common courtesy. I have common courtesy, absolutely. When I'm not in this realm, I have no problem. Hello, ma'am, how are you? Hello, sir. At work. Oh, so this is what was said. It was said that, okay, so if you're in court and you address a judge, you say, sir or ma'am. My response was that judge has earned that position. If you if you're pulled over by a police officer, you'll say, hello, sir, why are you pulling me over? Such that police officer, rightfully or not, have earned that position. Then it was doctors. Okay, I don't address my colleagues as sir, ma'am. There's not a lot of times when I walk into a room or talk to a patient where I'm addressed as sir or ma'am. Granted, unless it's just out of common respect. Now, that's, I think, where the line where people get it mixed up. Because when you step over into this realm, that common courtesy of sir and ma'am changes. Because you know as well as I know that sir and ma'am take on a whole different meaning over here versus what it means out in vanilla world. I don't think you can use that as a base because it's like apples and oranges. It's like potato. Spelling bear, B-E-A-R, and then you got bear, B-A-R-E, two different things, but it's the same thing,
This thing that we're on is the biggest perpetrator of that, because a lot of people in the lifestyle if they get on a chat
Mm-hmm.
or they hit somebody's inbox, that's the first thing they lead with. Sir, ma'am. And it gets embedded here. That's how I'm supposed to address it. That's why I've been asked, on your profile, you have Kevin Dre Lewis. And then somewhere in my profile, I have Sir Dire Wolf. Why don't you have a separate page? I'm too old to be running around here with two pages trying to differentiate between the two. No, I'm not doing it. If you know me, you call me by my name, I'm good with it. If we're at an event, you know, call me my name unless you're told otherwise. No big deal. Now, my submissive, it's sir. Out in public, at an event, whatever the case may be, it's sir. And see, when I came on tonight, I was like, should I put Sir Dire Wolf up here or should I put Kevin Dre Lewis? And you put me up on the flyer as Sir Dire Wolf, so I said I need to go with that. So and that's why I went.
We are in the realm of the community.
Exactly.
Yes.
But if people know how to get me, they know. Kevin Dre Lewis. My Fet profile is Sir Dire Wolf.
All right.
But people get online and in inboxes and sir this, sir that. No. What is the title up on my DM? Kevin Dre. I appreciate the respect, but you're not in that position to call me sir.
Understandable.
So that's what it is.
Well, I guess again it falls back to people do things the way that is comfortable for them. So I mean, I'm not knocking anybody's choice of what they do. I'm not knocking any way that a dominant, runs his dynamics or whatever. I just truly believe that, again, as we say, nothing is cookie cutter. I'm not going to stand 10 toes down against anything anybody does or says unless it's foundational. We're not saying that anybody's wrong, This is just, again, our opinions. I think that's the beauty of having different people to relay their experience, because then you have different aspects. It's not just one way. I think that's why where a lot of people butt heads and people just stop saying stuff. Like, well, I'm not going to even input because this one's going to say it's wrong. No, that's not what we do here at Twisted. We let people be themselves. Okay, so for the last couple minutes, we're drilling you. Go for it, Lacey.
You're drilling me.
Yes, you started it.
Okay, what you want to know?
Okay, the most difficult thing that you started, like the most difficult kink that you learned coming into this lifestyle.
I would have to say breath play.
Really?
And I say breath play because you're actually dealing with the way a person breathes. Because a lot of people, if they're not breathing their normal way, they get scared of what they're not used to. And it takes the person to pay very close attention to the other person. Not that I don't pay attention, but if they're starting to panic, you have to be able to recognize that. A lot of people don't like wearing masks over their heads and over their face, or having having something over their mouth, or a lot of people aren't used to that and don't like that. So if they're trying it for the first or second time, you have to pay very close attention to what you're doing and the condition that they're in. So that was probably the hardest thing I had to learn. The rest of it, I'm good with learning. I'm starting to learn a FIrefly, but the rest of it, I'm good with.
You have another one?
Next.
Oh, look, this is something we do with newbies. We hot seat all the time. He's like,
Not
so
worried
bring
about
it on. Oh my God. How many submissives have you had? 3.
The longest dynamic I had was 17 years.
Mm-hmm.
Shortest one was about 6 months.
Okay. So how do you identify? What are your, of course we know dominant. What are your subtypes?
I'm going to say this to my heart. I'm going to say this to my heart.
That's it?
I'll leave it at that. Yeah. That's it.
Nothing but to say this. Okay, well, dang. Lacey, what you got?
The one kink you feel the shyest about.
I don't.
Wow, you're just wilding out there?
I'm not wilding out there. I'm very controlled in what I do, but there's nothing that I feel ashamed about or scared of. Except for, as I mentioned, play, but everything else I'm good with.
So there's nothing you would say that you feel a little like there's not a kink that's extremely, but most people would consider extreme, that you would be hesitant to mention to people. Pride in what you do.
So what would
Not
your
at
most
all.
extreme kink be then? You do needle play? Huh?
I haven't done it in a while, but yeah.
Okay. I think that is one that I'll stick to giving people needles. How about that?
I'm curious about that one. I'll put that out. I'm curious about needle play.
It doesn't shock me.
Oh,
Because
like how you said that.
you're very open to a lot. Your pain tolerance is crazy. Yeah, I thought mine was off top, but yeah, yours is crazy. Yeah, I could really actually, when I was looking at a lady and she did needle play, and she was doing it on another female, and she did the needles to where she did like a corset. That was so cute, and I got, honest to God, the first thing I thought about when I saw it was you. Because I'm like, I could see Lacey with that. Like, I don't know why I could see her big as day with this needle corset on her back. It was so cute.
You know me so well.
Yeah, it's not something I think I could. And I love tats. Everybody knows that I'm an inkhead, but ain't no way. I don't think I can sit there and let nobody stick. No, don't think I can do that. No.
Do you have a kink you absolutely wouldn't do?
Don't deal in blood or defecate. And first time I've been asked that. Not that I can think of at this time.
Really?
That's crazy.
Wow. Well, no kink you wouldn't do, so no hard limits.
I hear hard limit. I don't deal in blood. I don't deal in race play. Those are about my heart limits.
Race play is just a whole nother ball game to me. I've had enough race play to last a lifetime.
I know. Me too.
Yeah, I don't even put myself in those situations. I'm nobody's novelty. Yeah.
Well, I came in with our counterpart. So
Yeah. Yes, I know. The little jewel of the now. Boy.
ew, don't do that.
Oh, yeah. What is your purpose of being a dominant?
My purpose.
Mm-hmm.
With me, it's not because From growing up, I've always been put in a position of in the military. I was put in a position of control. And all my jobs, I've always had a position of power. And so it just came natural. I went from, like I said, I went from swing to BDSM, and it was a natural fit.
Okay.
I'm told all the time, I walk into a room and my presence just come out. So it was natural.
So then taking a step further, what's the purpose? What is your purpose in a dynamic? And you said you've had 3 submissives. So, not everybody comes into this wanting dynamics, wanting a submissive, things like that. So being that you had a 17-year dynamic, 6-month dynamic, I like to dig into people's heads, sorry, and find out why. Like trinkets and toys. What do you feel is the purpose or your reasoning for wanting a dynamic? Is there I've heard dominant say they have that craving of nurturing or having someone to educate or share knowledge and stuff with. What would you say is your purpose for your dynamic, for you having a submissive?
First of all, my purpose is to help bring my submissive to places she hasn't been in her life and wanted to get to, like pain threshold, introducing things that she's been curious about and not had the opportunity to learn and participate in. Introducing her to the real purpose of being a submissive rather than what she's seen out there on TV or in a movie or heard about. Because I found that a lot of submissives really don't know what the lifestyle's about, or they think they do, but they're not ready to get the full picture. And if I can help you reach those 3 objectives, I'm good. It's not about me. It's more about the submissive than it is me. Because I've learned to let my ego go a long time ago.
Okay. Got anything else, Lacey? Lacey?
Well, I think my last question is, if you could give one piece of advice to, the newer dominant coming into this, what would it be?
I can't just give one. I'll give you 3. Do your research and your homework. Leave your ego at the door. And don't think you're bigger than the lifestyle. Because nobody's bigger than the lifestyle. That's it.
Wonderful. We didn't hot seat you too bad tonight. Get to me. You want more? If you want more, you want work.
If we have to do another, we can do another. I'm open to that.
I say we do a whole nother podcast of just straight up hot seating people.
Right.
I do too.
Okay. So there you have it. Next podcast is going to be the whole hot seat for everybody. So get your questions ready and go ahead if you got to write them down. Okay. Question. Is there anything off limits?
For me to do?
No. If we're going to hot seat, is there anything off limits that we're not going to ask? Because I'm going to come with it. So if there's something that anybody's uncomfortable with right now, put it on the table.
If they don't feel comfortable answering a question that's asked to them, hey, let them know. If you don't feel comfortable answering, you don't have to.
All right, Lacey, you good with it?
Don't expect my answers to not be out of pocket.
Yeah,
I have one thing I was always taught, and there was 2 things I was always taught. Never take away a woman's ability to say no, and never have expectations. Therefore, you can't be disappointed.
And to me, you never have real true conversation if you can't take the judgment off the table and just be open and talk. Not everybody's comfortable with that. Me, I don't care. Ask me, I'm gonna tell you.
I would be running around trying to sugarcoat shit.
Exactly. I'm like, why are you trying to go? You're going all the way to New York just to get to DC.
I'm like this. I'm 61 years old. If I haven't seen it or done it, it ain't gonna shock me. If you come to me with a question, I'm gonna answer it, whether you like it or not. I'm gonna be upfront and honest about it. I'm too old to be sugarcoating shit and running around shit.
Because that's
a question for both of you ladies.
How you gonna hot seat us?
No, I'm not hot seating you.
No,
it's just a general question.
Mm-hmm.
Do you find there's a lot of entitlement in BDSM lifestyle?
Entitlement such as
expectations how things are supposed to be and expectations of how one's supposed to be free.
You want to go first or you want me to go first, Lacey?
You go first.
Okay, I do. And I think it is because of lack of education. I say that because if you look from the submissive side, then it's probably not going to go over well, but here it is. I think submissives expect dominance to be a certain way as per se. I think a lot of times that submissives expect to be coddled, overly coddled. And I say that if you just take a look at the number of now brats that you have people identified as. And I mean, I'm not being facetious or anything. I mean, I'm being dead serious. As long as I have been around, brats were not a thing. I'm not going to say they weren't a thing, but it wasn't cute to be a brat. You know what I'm saying? It wasn't
something that you went around and bragged about, and we weren't a
right.
large majority in the first place.
Right. And it wasn't like, oh, I'm a brat and and daddy this, that. It was not, that's not what it was. Now it seems like every submissive that comes into the lifestyle, oh, I'm a brat. Oh, I'm a this. I'm like, and then when you start asking them, why do you identify as a brat? They cannot explain to you even what a brat is. It's all they know is it's when I want to have my way with daddy and I do this and I do that. He gives me my way. That's not even really
like for me.
It's BDSM, not even really brat does. You know, they brat out, but a lot of times you still don't get your way.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? And I mean, I think the expectation comes a lot on the submissive side because of things that they see. Again, because of lack of education. It's he's supposed to take care of me. Oh, I know submissives right now that will call a dom a fake dom because he does not pay her bills. Or he didn't buy me. Yeah, he didn't buy me. I'm like, so what kind of dom are you looking for? You know, I'm like, that's not the everyday. You have financial dominance, okay? They might take care of you, yeah, but that's not what your everyday running. Oh, and again, what did I say? It's a lack of education. That's why when I say when you walk into this, you don't go running for dynamics. You don't do anything. The first thing a person needs to do is sit down and understand what these roles are, where you fit in, because I don't care what side of the slash you're on. If I don't understand what your responsibility to me as a dominant, if I don't understand what you are or what your responsibility is or what it means for you to be a sadist, why would I be someone that's not a masochist, but I go after you and you're a sadist? Why? Because I didn't take the time to understand what a sadist is. Then I realized, shoot, you get into a dynamic. Well, he likes pain. Oh, that ain't me. No. Well, if you had done the homework in the beginning, well, he didn't coddle me. He didn't do that. He ain't worried about that. He don't say this. He don't care. Now, he might have those traits. He might be a nurturer, yeah. But if you're expecting one thing and it's not there, I think the expectations are very, very, very materialistic in certain areas, because I think we've gotten to the point where we don't really know what this is. There's a very large group that doesn't know what this is. You have people in the vanilla world talking about women being submissive to their partners and this and that and the third. It catches on and it's, well, that's what you do in BDSM. And so it's cute. It's cliche to be a submissive, but you really don't know what it is. You're expecting to be taken care of without doing the work yourself. On the dominant side, I can talk about that all day too, because I think dominants have a lot of expectations too. I really think that there's a lot of dominants that are out here that feel like this should be their way on the highway, and if it's not, I'm gonna have attention. I don't care.
I would agree with that one, because on the other, like you said, for the dominant part, I do feel like there's a lot of expectations when it comes to certain dominants and their egos, or because they'll feel like because they know a certain amount of things, it has to be their way, or you have to automatically bend to their will, and it's just a lot.
Well, see,
and
me myself,
I'm like,
one of the rules I have in any dynamic that I'm in, and I will tell my submissive, we can talk about any and everything, whether you agree with it or don't agree with it, as long as you start the conversation with, "Sir, with all due respect." You don't talk about anything. If you just come out of your mouth, "Well, I don't like this, and you got to do that," I want to try to start that over. You're not going to come at me any kind of way and expect a
Does that go both ways?
Does that go both ways?
Mm-hmm.
Of course. I'm not going to, I don't believe in taking who you are as a person away from you just because of the position you are in. You have a voice. If there's something you don't agree with, we can talk about it all day until we come to an agreement about it. It's not my way or the highway. Some things I could be wrong about. My ego isn't like that.
Well, there's a lot that is, and there's a lot that even you could just be in general conversation and you're not supposed to disagree. And I mean, it's a lot. And I think, again, people have their own expectations. I'll change that. People have their own standards that they want to have their dynamics or they themselves, I guess, judged by, or and I mean that's understandable, but I think when you deal with other people, those standards can't be unreasonable. You know, where I get in trouble a lot is that superior attitude don't flow with me. And being that I am solo, even if I wasn't, I wouldn't be with a dominant that would expect me to deal with that kind of egotistical attitude anyway. But I'm the type, you can't come at me in it's my way of the highway dominant attitude, because at the end of the day, it's like I said, submissives aren't step stools. Submissives are not brainless people that has no ideas, no function, no value, none of that. Whatever you say, it doesn't matter because you don't know. Many of us are very well, highly educated people that can probably outthink some of these dominants that think they sit on top of the world, And I think there's a way to stay in your dominance, but still operate in a respectful manner that doesn't make a submissive feel like she's less than. If you have to tell me you're dominant, then I'm side-eyeing you. You know what I mean? I should be able to tell just from your actions and the way you carry yourself. And a lot of the times you find those ones that have those really high expectations, or they expect you to bow down to them and this and that and the third, are the ones that always, well, I'm this, I'm that and the third. But if you notice the ones that are very just kind of laid back, if you really, they're more of the ones that you can deal with that aren't these uppity, like, you have to do this for me, you have to do that, or because I'm a dominant. They're not that tight.
I know.
And
Let me tell you something. Let me tell you something that I don't believe in doing. I am not going to interfere or have anything to say about how you run your life at home, meaning your career, if you have kids, if you have to care for your parents. I'm not interfering with that. That's something that goes beyond me. There's certain things that I feel that supersedes a dominant. And that's one. Now, when you get through with that at the end of the day, fine. But other than that, I have nothing to say and nothing to do with that. I'm not going to tell you how to run your career. I'm not going to tell you how you raise your kids. I'm not going to tell you how you should see after your parents, or when you shouldn't spend time with your family or not. I'm not that type of person. I'm not that type of dom. I know a lot of dominants that do, and I'm like, yo, that's wrong. And that was something that she had before you came along.
And that's a whole other story, because the funny thing is, totally opposite of what you said. You wouldn't believe.
Yes, I would.
My dynamic was 20 years. And in that time, I changed careers twice. I went from engineering to medical. And one thing that he did not do, and I've always been in positions where I was in charge, or I was the decision maker, things like that. So the one thing I can honestly say, it was never any interference when it came to work. There have been so many times I heard that, well, what kind of dominant is he if he allows you to be in control? With my parents, with the kids, I controlled all of that. Well, that's not your place. Why is it not my place? Why does that? Oh, he's weak. Why does that make him weak? Because he allows me to operate in those positions without his interference. What would it be like him interfering in my job? What do he know about medicine? Nothing. You know, how's he going to get mad at me because he wants me to send him a picture at 12 o'clock, and at 12 o'clock I'm out in the middle, I'm in the air, I can't even have my phone on me, I can't answer him, and then, you disobeyed me. I think there's a lot of misconceptions of what roles are, and people don't understand the fluid of this. You know, you make this what is comfortable for you. You make this work for you and yours, like anything else. That's why I was sitting there, I was laughing. I was like, when I asked, I'm like, so, what is your purpose? Because to me, if a dominant can't tell me his purpose of being a dominant or having a dynamic, what? Why am I here? What are you going to do with me?
I agree.
So I get it when you say there's certain things that I don't interfere in, because you don't have to. I think that you get more respect as a dominant when you allow space. You have to give that submissive something. Just give me a little bit. You can't lose yourself. And that's what happens to a lot of submissives a lot of times. And then you wonder why there's such problems when people start dealing with depression and things like that within this, because they lose themselves. That's why we always stress you work. I always give stuff for people to meditate, to ground themselves. When it starts getting heavy, hey, I got a meditation for just about everything. We have self-reflection every day that you can do, because you can't lose yourself in this. You can, but you can't allow yourself to. That's one job of a submissive, is to help keep that dominant grounded too. It's just like we forget all about y'all. It's just like it's about us. We need this, we need that. Okay, so when does he need aftercare? When does she need aftercare?
Well, see, that's why a lot of S types don't look at a dominant after having a session. Dominants have drops too.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Dominants have drops. Dominants need aftercare. I mean, it's necessary.
We'll see, and I'm going to say this, and it's going to tie this all into the conversation.
Okay.
That's when a submissive is supposed to lead and has responsibility of.
Wait a minute. Roll back. So you said that's where the submissive is supposed to lead. Okay,
Lead
so you mean that's where the submissive
and making sure her dominant's okay.
Okay, gotcha.
And take responsibility in taking care, making sure her dominant is okay, and making sure he's okay, and taking the steps to make sure he's okay.
Understood. Okay. I got you. I had to rethink about what you said. All right. Makes sense. But if we're not taught that, but again, that goes to education. That's one thing I stress to teach. Active, or what we call anticipatory service, anticipated service. And Jesus.
Oh, you talking about it's gonna be an hour.
Exactly.
But come on, we had gotten good. We got it down to about an hour 15 minutes.
Not tonight.
Not tonight, because obviously we got a talker with us tonight.
Anytime you want to have me on again, I'll be more than happy to.
You just come on and jump on all the time. Then we love people to come on and just talk with us, because
Wednesday and Thursday are my days off, so anytime on a Wednesday and Thursday, I'm good.
Yay! We thank you guys for hanging out with us, because this was a long one, but y'all stuck it out. So hey, it's all.
Anytime you have a question outside of here, you can hit me up, Kevin Dre Lewis.
All right, so we ain't doing you work tonight. I'll give y'all something next week. I'll post something on Facebook, something. We'll figure out something. We are Twisted Elegance. This is essentially Twisted. We are on Instagram, Twisted Elegance. We are on TikTok, Twisted.elegance8. Facebook, if you search Twisted Elegance, we've got a profile and we've got a private group. So if you want to join the group, just answer little questions and one of the admins will approve you. We're on Discord, as you guys know. Discord is discording, so we have gone back to we're in between Facebook and Discord. We're on both. Discord link will be down in the description. You can catch us here. Spotify. We are all on your major platforms: Spotify, iHeart, Apple Podcasts, Amazon Music. We are on YouTube, so you can roll back and listen. We've got about 8, 9 out now. So we're doing every 2 weeks. So we will be back Friday after next doing the hot seat. Oh, we've got our Aquarian Vibes event coming up February the 22nd. It is Twisted 2nd anniversary. It is also my birthday, Shakan's birthday. So we're just all rolling it up into one big birthday celebration, anniversary, whatever you want to call it. We will have Sir Khan will be doing fireplay. We've got the principal from South Carolina, Sir Drell. He will be doing flogging. We've got Sir Kells right here from North Carolina. He will be doing electroplay. And Sir Alex out of Fayetteville from House of Alex, he will be doing iridescent ice cupping. They will be spotlighting. Lady Sapphire will be doing erotic poetry. And then we've got Miss Mona. She's going to be doing burlesque for us. We've got some amazing presenters. They are highlighting what I said they are, but they are also at the end. They will be free to demo whatever they are comfortable and skilled at and whatever they bring. So they'll be at your disposal after their presentations. That is in Durham, North Carolina. It's going to be February 22nd, starting at 7:30, 8 o'clock promptly, because everybody is going to be showcased, and then they'll have free range. There will be a little meet and greet before that Friday because we've got some people coming in from out of town. For any information to get your ticket, to contact for NDA, because NDA is required. You can contact us on Instagram. You see all the promos are on Instagram. If you look on Facebook under Twisted Elegance, all the promos are there. The Cash App information for your donation is there, and the information to contact for your NDA is there. NDAs are going out February 1st, so if you can get all that done before February 1st, hey, good deal. If not, last day to get your tickets will be February 16th. I believe it is. Yep, February 16th. So I think that's everything. I've run that list. Lacey, did I forget anything?
No, you did not.
I mean, I so absolutely. We want to see everybody that can come out to the Aquarian Vibes event. It's going to be fun, you guys.
Is there a dress code?
A dress code. We say dungeon wear. I love dungeon wear, but whatever you're comfortable in. Me prefer a little dungeon wear, a little sexy, little cuteness, But I say whatever you're comfortable in, because I know everybody's not comfortable wearing certain things. We do, and I forgot we have to start stressing this because of where we are going to be. If you are wearing dungeon wear that wants to reveal any kind of spaces, we ask that you wear pasties, because we need pasties just because of where we are, and we promised that we would have no complete nudity. So we are requesting that. Ladies, please wear pasties. Gentlemen, please make sure your nether regions are covered, and we'll highly appreciate that. So no, just whatever you're comfortable in. I just say grown is sexy. We outgrown. Colors are purple and black, so hint, hint, if y'all want to be all cutesy with purple and black, that helps too. But again, whatever you're comfortable in. I'm going to post the links to everything down in the bottom, so you should just be able to click on them and get to Instagram, TikTok, all that good stuff. So we will see you guys next Friday. We posted next Friday. We are doing hot seat.
Friday after next.
That's right, Friday after next. Thank you. Friday after next, we're doing every 2 weeks. So I'm going to try to make sure that we have Lady Sapphire and Sir Sheer and Mark here. So that gives us 2 weeks. So we can have them here, so we can have our full display and have a little bit of fun. We again thank you guys for joining us. We love you as always. We always enjoy doing this for you, and learn something new this week in BDSM. Find out something new about yourself, and then when you do, let us know. All right, guys. When we come back, y'all are sharing something new y'all found out about yourself. Got it, Lacey? Like we do when we find out something new about ourselves, something we learned on this journey this week and next week. All right? Again, we love you guys. Thank you for joining us. See you in 2 weeks. You guys stay twisted. Panel, y'all want to say good night?
Good night.
Bye. All right, you guys stay twisted. We'll see you in 2 weeks.
Later.